Welcome to Path of the Jaguar. Your host Michael here. Freddy's Mr. Fredolo, must rather say, will be joining us right now with a nice fresh brew. What you got over there, bro?
Some other half mosaic. Motueka. Motueka.
Yeah, that's a hop. Motueka? What do you think that's from?
Motueka.
I think Chris told me. I think it's from Australia. Spill already. Well, let's starting off well.
You know what? Well, you know how people have superstitions? That we'll just say that one's for good luck. When you spill a drink, it's for good luck.
And that was fucking delicious, bro.
Cheers.
So, I already know where I want to start off with. What's
up, everybody?
Oh yeah, say hello.
It's all right.
No, it's fine. You have to say hello.
They're
when
fine.
You walk
They're
in.
hanging out.
It's awkward if you don't. It's like when you walk into a room. You know, you can't just sit down and start eating. You got to say hi to everybody. Good job, you said hi. Important.
Yeah, that's big in Hispanic culture.
So I think that's just indecent people people.
Yeah,
who
but
are
a lot of people
social.
don't do that. People don't just go and embrace people and say hi and give them a kiss and you know what I'm saying.
Takes a lot.
You have to see that as a kid that's a norm for you to just be going and embracing people with that much love, I guess.
Yeah, because people don't. Well, most people aren't really that close to people. Yeah. They're not that intimate with them. So there's that shyness that, hey, I don't want to put myself out there. And there's also that antisocial, I don't want to interact with this person. I don't like this person because the way that, how many people you see, I will never be that person's friend. I can never be that person's friend. No matter what that person did, there's nothing that they could do to.
But that's
I can't
not
hang
true,
out
though. That's not true because Yeah, I know. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Where I wanted to start, which I think is a perfect way to start off this. Just been thinking a lot about compound effect, chaos theory, how things over time just develop into these bigger, crazier things over time, and how we are in the biggest beginning of that explosion, because now we have the internet. So within the first 20 years of there being computers, we were starting getting them in our houses. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We were kids when that was happening. And we were recording things. We're recording something now. We post things up. But yeah, right. Oh my God, how crazy it's changed in the last 15 years. But we're in the beginning of that, the literal beginning of that. So these recordings that we are making now, if the humanity sticks around long enough, if the internet sticks around long enough, and so on, this is going to be in the beginning of the archives of, say, 1,000 years of internet recordings.
Right.
And
it's true.
With the compound effect, the sooner these things start, the more effect they have. And if they happen first, they can influence the things after. So these things can have a lot of impact over the next hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's really cool to think about the fact that, imagine if someone can hear this years from now, what it has done, what it could do then.
Time traveling.
Being immortalized.
Dude, I want to be immortalized. You don't want to be immortalized?
I want to be motorized. Yeah, I want to be turned into a car.
Yeah, motorized.
Yes, absolutely. It's that, and that's us fighting death. That's us trying. That's literally being immortalized. You want to. That's why people want to make the best album ever, or create the most amazing painting, or make sure that their kids are amazing. Is because they're trying to live on through these things, so they get passed on. They can live past the 75 years that we have.
Yeah,
it's not enough.
It's not enough.
People don't want to die, so if you can live in another way, you'll do it.
If you could live, how would you do it? Just doing
the
things
thing
like
I would
this?
leave behind?
Yeah.
You're saying?
I'm sure you would leave many things behind. As a creator, you're just gonna continue to. You know what? That's what you're gonna leave behind. Your creations.
Yeah, and
your ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. But
it could be any platform. It's still an outlet.
But do you live on through creations that don't get attention? You know what I mean? You make a painting, but it sits in your garage. You're not being immortalized.
I think you do. It's still a part of you. I would definitely say a part of you, but it's not. Yeah. It's not gonna live fully. A Michael Jackson Thriller is gonna be a staple, but you can't deny, one of his other songs that most people wouldn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have as much influence as many people experience it. So if 5 people saw your painting, well, you had an influence. And it might be a big influence on 5 people, but if you leave it to 1 million or 1 billion, or it's just somewhere that's always going to be around, you're continuously having that little effect. It might not even be a good effect. I'm sure there's plenty of like musicians that put out pieces and just made the world the worst place.
But you never know. That's what's so great about inspiration. Is just that, for example, you could go ahead and be a hip hop fan and look at, depending on what kind of Kanye hip hop fan you are, but a lot of people that have followed Kanye will look at Yeezus and be like, this is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Yo, I go back to that project a lot. Yeah, and it's my most it's the one that I dislike the most.
Yeah, it's not his best.
But it is polarizing. Yeah. It forces me to feel a way. Like
it's an emotional transfer.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still emotion. So this album X, I might like a lot more, and I might go back to 100 times. But this album that I really dislike, I'll continue to go back to it. Probably like around, and with time, I think it's gonna grow too. So I would say, let's say this project that I dislike will be at like a 65%. Okay. So it's like you liked it more than half. It's like a positive. You listen to it, and I could have just really felt like I disliked it because I really felt like that project had 3.5 good songs, maybe four.
Out of what?
That I really enjoyed.
I don't think I've ever listened to it on my own.
You know what? Just for the viewers, I wouldn't do this normally, but for the viewers.
But like with that album, I probably heard it just listening to it with other people. I probably listened to it once on my own, but every one of his other albums I've heard 100 times. But I know I heard you listen to them the other day, and it's the energy.
Exactly.
A lot of those songs have, and then I'm sure you have
10 songs, 40 minutes.
Okay, gotcha. So you think there's 5 good songs?
So I give it a 40%. I give it a 4.
That's an F, bro.
That's an F.
But here's the thing:
But it's not though. That's the crazy part because it still gets my attention. This is the part that kind of bugs me out.
Because you keep listening to it.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's because I'm trying to understand. He got in a specific space, and that's
as
influence.
As a musician, you're saying this.
As an artist, as a creator.
I know, but I'm saying like as opposed to just a listener, a person who doesn't make music, you're approaching it differently. Where someone who just wants to listen to good music is probably not going to listen to it, but you want to see what he's doing because Kanye is a genius. So you want to see what the fuck, what how do you arrive to this point? How do I do this? Mm-hmm. So I get that.
And I saw that he also said once, like in an interview or something like that. It wasn't an interview. It was just like a video of him like recording, and Tyler the Creator was there, and he was writing a verse for an song with Lil Wayne and Tyler.
Okay.
Smuckers. And there's a video on YouTube of it, and he starts talking about music in that video, and he's saying like there probably wouldn't have been a Yeezus if it wasn't for Tyler the Creator. Someone else mentioned another album and things like that, and it's very interesting because that's just influence. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like
especially from someone younger, someone who
comes full circle, goes all the way around.
Tyler's our age, so he was listening to Kanye when we were listening to Kanye, and then now he's influencing the guy he was been influenced. So that's Kanye influencing himself as well a little bit there too.
100%.
And they're all influenced by all the other rappers that came before them, and that's just the big web.
That's just one reference, but it's just ill because even your whack shit, you never know what things are going to be when you create something. You could go ahead and create a podcast, and let's say you create 1,000 podcasts and you got one gem in there, and that one like has trillions of views across all platforms. After we move on from the internet, it's going to be another thing, and like that video always sustained in time. Like that's a baby. That's something you created.
Yeah. Like I was gonna say the same thing with certain albums where like you can have 10 songs, 5 of them are good, but 3 of those songs are classic, and you're gonna listen to those 3 songs forever. Yeah, there's some garbage here and there with people, like with certain albums. Like me, if I like download an album and like there's like 9 amazing songs and there's one shitty song, I'll just delete it. Mm-hmm. I don't have to put myself through it. Yeah. But here's this amazing album where 3 good songs. That's amazing. Thank you for those 3 good songs. I don't have to listen to the other 7. Now I have those 3 songs.
Yeah, it's true. But
it's not a good album though, unless it's like a good chunk of it is good though, because then it's a bad album. Now, obviously the songs don't match.
It depends on how you listen to albums though, because
that's how I listen to music.
You listen to albums.
Yeah, I listen to an album at a time. I like the feel of
That's
one
good.
song to the next.
I feel like I do the same thing.
It's also just more laziness. I'm not gonna make playlists.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
Gonna pick, especially when I'm driving.
It's laziness.
I just wanna throw this person on, and it's not like I'm going from freaking, Beatles to freaking Talib Kweli to Frank Sinatra to fucking DMX. It just doesn't make sense to do it.
That would be crazy.
Not a very good DJ. Good music, but you can't mix like that. It's just, especially emotionally wise, because you have that one song that's got you pumped or whatever, and then you go to something that something that's more relaxed and serene, and you can't jump one way to the other. It's DJing. You have to match the feelings. And that's why it's easy to just do it with an album, because they already did everything for you. This song is supposed to transition into this song. And I'm sure you notice that more and more now that you're making music, right? Like, oh, fuck, why did they do it this way? And you're picking up.
Yeah, it's great, but it also takes away from it too. So like, I feel like when you're learning something, so let's say you, as a child, you're obsessed with architecture, whatever, it could be anything, but there's an imagination aspect to something of when you start having an idea of what you create for it. Like, oh, as a kid, I want to build buildings too, and I want to make them look like this. When it's like, an architect may not really be doing all of that. He has to follow all these codes. Probably got to deal with paperwork or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like
school.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So when I went to school for like graphic design and art and things like that, and the more and more I learned, it almost like took like chunks away from the magic from it, the imagination of where my mind traveled to it, and then
it put more order in there. So like, this is how you do it. You do.
This is how you do it.
Instead of it
like,
just being,
what the hell is that? What do you mean? It's how you do it?
Chaos, creativity. I get that. Because now you're not. It's not you. It's the system.
Exactly. It's the system.
But you still have that magic in between. I'm sure the steps. Because then it wouldn't happen without it. But yeah, like especially when I remember there was something that I forgot who I was talking to, but they were like, "Yeah, you're not supposed to make the image like that." It's like, what do you mean you're not supposed to?
What is that?
Yeah, like it doesn't look good when you do it this way. Like when this shape is bigger than that shape, or you can't use this color with that color. Like, no, I'm
like,
gonna do it.
That has a point. They do have a point with that, but it's art, and that's what's amazing about it. And it's like and I feel like that's a follower's mentality. The people that tell you that, because when they go ahead and they look at something, and then they look at you, and it's like, or whatever you create, and it's like, no, that's off balance, or that doesn't work here because of this. They might be right in a certain realm of like, okay, in the world of this order and things working together, it's supposed to be this way. But you could just be creating something, and that's your own lane. And the reason they only have that order is because other people have done it before them. And they're like, oh, look, that works. So this is the way that you do it. When that could just be the way that they do them. Yeah. And you're doing you, and you're doing your own thing.
It's good to learn from how other people do. Because it's like, hey, you don't have to figure it out on your own and do the whole trial and error thing. They did it. It worked. Do it that way. But not restricting yourself to it. It's not the way of doing it. It's a way you can do it. And, apply those principles, but don't let it be, your prison where like, I'm going to only do it this way. And that's how a lot of people think.
Yeah.
Because not everybody has the ability to be creative.
But it's different. But back to our what we were originally talking about was the way like I listen to music. So it's almost like taking shrooms. So once that's always open. That's it. There's no, you can't think how you thought before shrooms.
Yeah.
Like, you can still see it. It's there, but you don't, it's not only that.
And you can kind of go back to it a little bit in the way of the thinking
Exactly.
process,
Yeah, you can kind of go back to it and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'll never be able to listen to music again as a regular listener.
Yeah. You saw behind the curtain.
I saw behind the curtain. I saw too much. I had control of too much. I was doing things behind the curtain. I'm chilling back there, messing with things. I'm plugging things, plugging things in.
Plugging things in the back of the curtain.
And so that's one thing I have to put into perspective of things, like even with mixing and things like that. True. Like, how do I want this to sound? And
you lost a little of the magic there.
I lost the magic, absolutely. In the same
you
thing.
You can't even play with it if you don't know the background of it. You know what I mean? Like, how can you?
No.
As a listener, I'm sure.
For example, let's say I had zero teaching on this, and I just kept on playing with these machines and this computer and this music thing and blah blah blah, and I kept on recording stuff, and I just kept on using it on my own.
Okay.
And I learned it on my own. I learned how to use the equipment,
Okay.
but I don't have necessarily knowledge on it. But over time, I learned a lot. Like, not mastered.
Okay, sure, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. That's more organic. And that's more, you're in your own realm, and you get to create you and not being influenced so much by other things. So it's more organic in that way, I feel. But who's to say that's right? I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Is there a right way of doing?
There isn't. It's the same
things,
thing of saying,
what I mean?
hey, that thing is unbalanced. You shouldn't put those two colors together.
Exactly. You can't use those colors, but like that's not. I'm not doing it because of the rules. I'm doing it because that's the way I want it to look.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it look that way, and that's one thing that a lot of people struggle. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people struggle with is because they're too focused on the outcome of impressing people. I want to impress people with my work. It's not about what type of influence. It's just the fact that I'm gonna have influence. I want to be famous. I want this to be the best thing. But so they care too much of how things should be done. My music should sound this way. You know, this podcast should talk about this and that. This painting should do this. And, people like naked women in their painting, so I'm gonna put naked women in painting. That's the only reason I'm doing. I don't even like painting naked women. You know,
I may be good at it. And the art is probably pretty dope. But this is propaganda. You know what you're doing.
Now, if you just focus on, hey, I want to make something that while I'm doing it, that hour, 3 hours, weeks that I put into it, I'm enjoying it. I'm in this zone.
Right.
I'm one with whatever the thing I'm creating, and I'm getting to express myself spiritually, because that's what you're doing when you're creating.
You believe that?
Oh,
that
absolutely.
you're expressing yourself spiritually?
I have a funny.
Finish your point. We'll get back to this.
Yeah,
I like
we'll come
this.
back to that. But my point is, as long as you go and you go and you make a song because the way you enjoy creating it and the way you like how it sounds, then the mission is complete. No one ever has to listen to it, and that's one thing. People, they put this weight on these things. I need my painting to be in a museum. Like, that'd be nice. You get money, you get the appreciation that you expect from it, but you shouldn't expect these things. You know what I mean? You had fun making it. These are fun things to do.
Yeah.
Make it, and then if it's really that good and you really
That's
put in
what it's
that time,
about.
then all the other benefits come.
Exactly. That's what it's about. More and more people talk about that. I watch a lot of interviews. You already know that, but for the viewers, I watch a lot of interviews. The reason I do it is because I feel like I really enjoy listening to people speak. I like learning from them. People talk about their mistakes, things like that. Or let's say I go ahead and in a week I watch, I'm using a lot of numbers and stuff, but let's say I watch 100 YouTube videos in a week, whatever. And in those 100, there's a correlation between X amount of interviews that they mention this for success.
Okay. This is the thing that you need to do. This is going to bring success.
And it's like, oh, there's correlations here all around. I'm learning. I'm picking these things up. It's information. These people are talking. People will show you who they are and give you information. You just got to let them speak. You know what I'm saying? And I enjoy listening to different people speak and different things, different podcasts or, whatever it is. Or even listening to an audiobook once in a while. I don't know. I just feel like it's you could pull things of information, it's all there. You just have to look for it, the opportunity, and so on and so forth.
Oh, definitely, and it's really important. We were saying earlier, learn from people who've done it before, because if you get to watch an interview of the industry that you want to go into, these people have already been doing it, and they're telling you what they struggled with, and what worked for them, and what the more important things are. Then you don't have to learn that lesson, which means you have to fail. You don't have to do that. Or I could
simply just look out for it. I might still have to go ahead and experience it and learn through my own journey, but
makes things a bit easier.
Yeah, this person said this.
Yeah,
Boom.
this is what this dude was talking about. Okay. Yeah. Oh,
that's just gems in life, you know.
100%.
Uncles, whatever. So, but one thing I was realizing, I feel like as we watch people on YouTube or listen to them on podcasts, whatever it is, as you listen to Duncan Trussell, as you go ahead and watch Joe Rogan on whether it's his podcast on YouTube or, you know, on UFC because we watch the fights.
Yeah.
I feel like us doing that, and because we're aware of things and the power that we have with the internet, to bring it full circle. This is all about the internet, guys. This is what the internet allows us to do. Me and my friend are sitting here in chairs talking, and we're going to send this to you guys. You guys are going to see this via the internet. And who knows what year, because we're fucking time traveling, baby.
You just can't go back. There's no going back.
Exactly.
Just
but
moving forward.
What I was thinking about today was I feel like it's great because it dehumanizes celebrities and it dehumanizes these figures. Because
humanizes.
Yeah. It humanizes them. Excuse me.
It takes the
Exactly.
Like, I knew you meant because like you're taking away the
it humanizes them, not dehumanizes.
Yeah, because they're like these gods.
They're dehumanized when we see them in the TV, in the box. Yes. I like to call it the box because the magic box, you know, the light box.
What kind of magic box are we talking about right now?
It's a light box, man. It's amazing. It flashes these lights at you. It changes the color.
I thought you were talking about pussy.
There's people in the light box. You'll do some wild things for that.
You might even start a podcast for it.
You might even start a podcast for it. That's great.
But I want to go back a couple. I said we were going to tie back to it.
Spirituality.
Exactly. So my relationship with the word spirituality is very gray right now.
Cool.
Because I don't believe that I have a spirit in the sense that I have a ghost in my body.
Okay.
But I think we have spirits. I think when
So you want to call it a different name?
Yeah, but I don't have the name for it, and then if I say that name to you, you're not gonna understand. So the meme, the name that we know it as is the spirit, the soul. There's something in us. Maybe it's something in our brain. Maybe it's a combination of the chemicals in your body and your like the whole.
What do you think that
ecosystem that we are?
What the heck is that thing? That breath of life? That, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a moment where because the machine will still be functioning. You know, you chop somebody's head off real quick. That machine is still functioning for a couple of seconds. Like, rumor has it, as the tale goes.
According to urban myth.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's people that were getting decapitated and their head got chopped off and their eyes were still working. They could go ahead and see their body. But who gave them that information? So what guy came back and was like, yo, I saw it.
No, there was,
told them the whole story.
I'll tell you the story that I heard. I forgot who he was, but he was gonna get his head cut off during the French Revolution.
Okay.
And he said, "Hey, look at my head's eyes. After I'm gonna try to blink for as long as I can, see how many times I blink."
Ooh,
before I stop.
I like that.
And it was like 7 or 8 blinks.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like there's still things going on, but now you're cut off from your energy sources. So yeah, you're no longer.
That's probably
working.
Honestly. Guillotine's probably not that bad of a way to go out.
It's a quick one.
Yeah, that's not bad, man.
It's a quick one. But I don't. Is there a good way to go?
Who wants to be laid up in a hospital, broken bones? You just got hit by a bus, bro. Hit by a bus, boom.
One thing that I would.
You're dying. Listen, you're gonna die.
What I would like from that is the knowing that it's coming.
You're gonna know it's coming anyways. You could be in that guillotine. Whether it's the
amount of you got a couple minutes.
It's all about the matter of time that you have to decide that it's happening. But this should happen right now. A plane could come to this building, destroy all of us. It's just are you good on the terms with this thing of death? Like, we're all dying. It's just a matter of time before we die, and depending on the situation, you're going to have a certain amount of time to be horrified by the idea of death. You know, if you go ahead and get hit,
the experience of
exactly.
This.
You got to think about that shit, man.
Our lives revolve around the fact that we're going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's we're aware of it, which is, I think, the healthier way of approaching it, or if you're just dealing with it subconsciously. Mm-hmm. We move around things because, hey, like, I'm not going to do that thing because that thing's going to kill me. Or, hey, I'm going to have a lot of fun because I'm going to die eventually. So let me at least enjoy it. Or, hey, let me use all these chemicals and these drinks and those things because it's gonna make it easier for me to deal with the fact that I'm going to die. Like, you know, the job that you have, the people you spend time with, like, it's something that we're constantly thinking about. It's the way we, because that's like, it's weird because I don't know.
Do you think a lot of people think about death? I don't think so. I think a lot of people avoid that.
Like, they repress it, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are people, if you bring it up, they consider it like a depressing conversation.
Yeah, they'll get upset with you for talking about something like that. Like, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you're gonna die.
Yeah, let's not ignore the thing. It's a real thing, and you'll live better knowing that it's there. Acceptance is the first step.
It's the one thing that's promised.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it almost feels like that's kind of what we're here for. We're here to die.
It's the cross, man. You gotta live your cross, and then you're gonna die, and you don't know when it's happening. That's the mystery and the scary part behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could imagine being like seconds before your death. You have no idea what the hell's gonna happen on the other side. You're gonna bug out on those like last like 10, 20 seconds.
Like, if you're under a guillotine, and it's about to happen. Like, but it would be exciting on one level. Like,
if you embrace it, it's like fighting a bad trip.
About our whole life, you know, it's like, now I'm about to find that in a couple seconds. It's like, what?
Fighting a bad trip. That's probably what it's gonna be like. Giving up.
Oh, like, what do you mean? What part is like fighting a bad trip?
When Papa died, our grandfather, for viewers, he recently died of throat cancer, so he had to go through a little bit of a process of like his body deteriorating. Then he died. But was it with you that I was talking about it with? Like, he gave up after a certain amount of like beatings and days of like you suffering.
Yeah, he was ready to go.
Like, you think that's what it is? You think it's like the human will, the human spirit that gives up? Like, I'm done.
In certain cases, like a case like that, yeah. Like, obviously, you get hit by a truck. There's no.
You
don't have any willpower.
You get run over by a train. You're not thinking about that.
There's no willpower involved. But yeah, I think so. Like, I hear plenty of stories like that. Like stories where like the person was like waiting for like their kid to get there first so they can see him and say bye.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. You're fighting.
The second they walk in,
they had a reason.
Yeah, and then you see cases where like, you know, a spouse dies and then the widow or the widower left behind like starts to deteriorate because they've given up. Because like this is to tie back to the whole soul thing. We have this thing in us that it doesn't matter. Let's say you're eating really healthy and you're exercising and you're living like a really good life and you're taking care of yourself, but spiritually you're down. You have bad vibes. You're around bad people, let's say, or you just have such a negative outlook. You think you're unhealthy. You think you're sick, even though you're not. Like, you're actually doing damage to your body. Like, you could be winning, but
you think you're losing.
If you're thinking you're losing,
and your attitude is you're losing,
then
it's
you
over.
Lost. That's it.
Yeah, it's over.
And that's I think that's what it comes down to. If like you lose that willpower, like your body's probably going to be, because your whole system it back feeds in every direction. So if you're approaching, you know, your death into like, hey, I'm giving up, then yeah, you're giving up, and then your body's going to stop fighting it. But I'm sure people they fight. So
people, and that's what a lot of like medics say, and people are like, oh, you know, he's a fighter or she's a fighter. She's really fighting through it. Like
what is it that you're actually fighting? You know what I mean? Like, you're just
dying, bro.
It's just movement. You're just trying to keep moving, and like once you just settle down, that's when it's.
I'm sure like it's gonna happen. Hopefully it does, unless we die in an instance, or maybe it's better if we die in an instance. Anyways, but the feeling of like, I'm sure there's people that have like had a stroke and dipped their toe in death and felt like oh shit, I'm going through, it's getting dark, let me wake the fuck up before I
it's kind of like
go down that tube,
that like little twilight period between being awake and being asleep, where you start getting those weird like dreams. Like, have you ever been like someone stopped you from going to sleep but you were like a little bit into it, like you start having weird scenarios being projected in your head, but you didn't fully dream of it, and it's like, oh shit, that's that in between that you're dipping your toe into. So that's, I'm sure it's like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You know,
and then there's people that say they have died and came back to life. They brought me back.
Yeah. Because I imagine, like let's say your body just kicks off for a few seconds, like you're gone, right? Or maybe you're somewhere else or whatever. Who knows? But the engine starts kicking back up again. Oh, we're still back. You know, they hit you with the defibrillator.
That's what it's called? The
defibrillator. Yeah.
defibrillator.
The,
That sounds like something that should be in your arm.
It sounds like something between the clitoris and the labia. Yo, you just got to rubber on the defibrillator, and her legs would be.
Defibrillator. That's great.
But yeah, then it starts you back up, and now your brain turns back on, and now you're back alive. Like what? Like it's, and I know somebody who died. They died twice. Like when they were drowning in the pool, and then they died in the pool. They took them out, resuscitated them, and put them in the ambulance. They died in the ambulance, came back, and it's like, what is it like? What does it have an impact on you? It had to, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
It has to. Like you carry that to an extent.
Where are you during this? And again, it's the big question, and that's why I was saying earlier, like,
what's the big question?
What happens after you die?
Oh yeah,
That's a pretty
big question. Yes. That's what everybody wants to know. Yeah. That's probably the biggest question. That's the big question.
Yeah,
the big one.
The big one. It's the most important one because it's the biggest one. It's actually a pretty short question.
The big one.
But like, that's why I meant earlier about how it dictates the way we live our lives because
absolutely.
You pick your religion based off of it.
True.
You treat people differently based on it, like. You know, there are people who are good to people, literally just because they think they're gonna get into heaven. You know, and there are people who treat people badly because they think nothing happens. Hey, after they die.
It's a great guideline.
It's a great guideline, but that literally what I was just saying right now is that there are people who, because they don't think there's a repercussion, then they're bad to people because nothing happens after that. This whole thing is pointless, so I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want.
Right.
So it's like it really like. Because it's like the whole purpose and why thing, you know? If your purpose is to get into this perfect afterlife, well, guess what? You're committing to that. But if there's no purpose to it, if it's just ends, if I just die, my body shuts off and now I'm not me anymore, I'm not anything, then why does it matter if I eat this way, if I hurt people, if I steal, if I lie? Like, so it is very important to have a stable belief of what happens at the end of the year. What do you
think happens? Okay, let me rephrase this. So like you'll take two people. One person has hope in the sense of he thinks there's a heaven. Mm-hmm. Somebody doesn't, and they're living these lives. Let's say for the story's sake, the person that has no hope he's living a very reckless life. He's not really nice to people. All of these things, blah, blah, blah. Person that does have hope, he had these guidelines, raised in the church, things like that, so he has morals.
Mm-hmm. You can have morals without religion, but sure, go ahead.
You can. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
Just had to throw that line out there. Go ahead.
You're right. At the end, when they die, like, was it who was right and who was wrong?
Well,
maybe that doesn't exist. Maybe that question doesn't even matter.
Well,
like, maybe they could both get into heaven if there is a heaven. So maybe this guy. But the wrong part about it is that he's being the person that has no hope, being mean to other people, and just being a shitty person in general. He's having this terrible effect on all these people. Now, you could be very self-centered and be like, it doesn't matter. Maybe they have a point. It might not matter. But it matters for X amount of time, for these years. And
yeah. But now here's the thing, like let's put in the scenario that there is the afterlife, there is that heaven, and whether they both go to heaven or one of them goes to heaven, whatever, the person who was treating people like shit was in hell for years. You know what I mean? Like, they were in hell. If that's how you're living, if you live your life where you're, shitting on people, you put people down, you don't have, any hope for anything, so you don't take care of yourself, and you don't put effort into your relationships, and you don't make sacrifices, and you don't put yourself out there for people, you're living a pretty terrible existence. That is hell. You know what I mean? If you're stealing from people, guess what? You're walking around with guilt. If you're murdering people, you're dealing with some, unless you're a psychopath, but that's a separate story. But if you're killing people, you're probably having some, guilt on you, traumatic nightmares, flashbacks, whatever. Or if you're...
What if you're just a psychopath, though?
That's a completely different thing.
But that's what I'm saying.
There's no
So
connect there.
Let's say this person was a psychopath and the other person wasn't, and they both died. Boom, and they both get into heaven.
Wait, one more? If
they both die.
Why is the psychopath good to go to heaven?
Just forgive him, man.
I don't like this.
Okay, but there's mercy. People do that.
So is there hell if anybody can get in? You're a psychopath.
I'm sure that. Listen,
and is it the psychopath's fault in the first place? He's the one with the chemical imbalance. Maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't know what fucking people are going through. You don't know what they're thinking. Yo, think about this. Think about the power that you have. If you really wanted, you could wake up at any moment and go ahead, grab a knife, and just kill a stranger in the street. And then you're murdered. It's that easy. It's not hard. This is not a hard thing to do.
Just don't do it at home, kids.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do this. But you have the power to. But that's the crazy part. I find it pretty amazing that the majority of people have agreed to just not do this thing.
Yeah.
We have a lot of power.
It's consequences. Yeah.
Of course there's consequences.
Yeah.
And that's why we have this whole system in place. But like, you just had, like, these people just have to have a couple bad days and things like that. And
or bad years.
Bad
How about
years,
that?
yeah,
How about
bad
a fucked
years
up
of
childhood?
life. Exactly.
And no guidance and drug addiction and
all of that.
Praise. Like, if you're gonna gang, it's not.
Boom. And then they do this thing, and then they die. I mean, it's possible they could go into heaven. I don't call those shots, and thankfully I don't have to. But I guess that's what purgatory is for, if you look at it in a religious perspective and a Catholic perspective. So, you know, like, the worse you are, the more time and shit you have to go through.
Time out, buddy.
Yeah, time out.
Sit
you know
in the
what?
corner.
You weren't as good, so you're not just getting into the club. You got to wait on a long line, and that line is gonna be terrible.
I feel like I'm almost not even so optimistic that just like I don't think it necessarily doesn't necessarily need to be that the people who are bad are gonna get punished and the people who are good are gonna get rewarded. Like, that's nice. That's
nice.
How certain things.
And that's a good
work.
idea.
But who knows what happens after you die? If that's just like, oh well, you were good, so now you get rewarded. Like, it sounds so good to be true. Yeah, it's just too good to be true. Like, it's just too convenient. It's like, oh, we want it to be that way. It's a fantasy. We want things to sound like it's gonna be, yeah, dude, we're gonna be taken care of. But it's good to have that, because now if you're that hopeless person,
It's good. We need that.
I think so.
We need hope.
You
could lose everything, but you can't lose hope. That's Father John Karapi. He's dope.
But now, like, it's so. Like,
he walked away from the Catholic Church. I don't know if he did, actually. I might be wrong. But Father John Karapi, you remember, like, all the talks?
I don't know much about him.
Yeah, you don't have to know anything. But you remember, like, we used to, like, listen to him, or G used to listen to him sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him.
Yeah. But
He
the point
like
is,
a pretty Karapi guy. I gotta.
he was a happy guy.
I said Karapi.
He was kind of Karapi back in the day. But then he, like, kind of straightened himself out, went to church and things like that, and he was good. But then there was, like, alleged rumors that came out. See, I don't even know. I'm gonna give you my perspective as a public viewer on the world on a topic that I'm uneducated on. So
that's what we're here to do.
Apparently, there was this girl that was, like, in a terrible situation, and he was, like, trying to help her out and stuff. But, like, there's stories of, like, or rumors, I should say, of him, like, hooking up with this, and he's, like, a priest and stuff. Like, you know, you can't be doing that. Mm-hmm. And but it's funny because even all of his older talks, he would still talk about things like, if I mess up again, like, don't be surprised. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still another.
We're super flawed.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. We're super flawed, and we're still human. You know what I'm saying? And there's
big thing in, like,
and it's
the
like
Bible.
it's
we're
not
all sinners, and it's not that we're all evil.
We're born. Yeah. We're born into it.
It's just we're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna act in our self-interest.
Yep.
You know, of course, I'm gonna do the thing that I'm gonna get the most out of. You know.
Yep. Exactly.
That's what we do, and that's where the moral code, the moral codes that we create for ourselves, is why it's so important, because it takes you out of the scenario.
Right.
This is a situation, you know, you're going to hate yourself if you do it this way. Mm-hmm. This is going to backfire. I just don't think telling people like, hey, you're going to be either rewarded or punished for an eternity is the only way of enforcing these things.
I agree. Supposedly, according to psychology, well, human psychology, because we don't know anything else, and I would think there's other life out there, other forms of life, whether it's a different realm, spirituality, or whatever, aliens, whatever. But positive reinforcement works way better than negative reinforcement, so they can do the positive. So
100%. But either way. So now, but my point is more so on if you're doing something that's good for somebody else, but the only reason you're doing it is because you're gonna benefit. Are you actually doing the good thing?
Because you're being more selfish.
Yeah, because now, like, if it's just like, hey, do good things because you're gonna make that person happy and you're gonna help them, you're actually because you're doing the selfless thing. The selfless thing is what makes us feel good, and we get that.
Exactly.
You know, again, it's a spiritual boost. You're doing something good for your soul. Mm-hmm. But now, if you're just doing it because, like, oh, God's watching, He's gonna make sure that I'm doing good right now, then are you actually doing something selfless? No, you're not. I'm gonna give this guy $20. I have hundreds of dollars sitting around. I'm gonna give this guy $20 today because I'm gonna get paid back for this. Mm-hmm. A million times in heaven. It's not selfless.
And it's not even. It takes away from it. It's wrong. It's wrong. You're doing the wrong thing here. Yo, think about this. But
here's the thing: if you're always walking around thinking about, hey, am I gonna get to heaven or am I gonna get to hell? Like you're always gonna do the thing.
It's better.
It is. It probably works out, but I don't think you're doing good.
It's the bar.
You're not feeding your soul on that end.
Explain that.
So, like I was saying earlier, so whether it's a ghost or not, like we have this totality in us.
Okay.
That is our consciousness and it encompasses our health and the way we think and our philosophies and our moral codes and our passions. Like it's our personality. It is our consciousness. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And
okay,
you're constantly building on this thing. So when you make yourself more disciplined, like you force yourself to freaking put away your clothes every time before you go to bed, like you're
great habits to have. I don't have those habits.
You're enforcing those,
and I pay because of it.
You're enforcing. Sorry, you're enforcing. Stop interrupting, motherfucker.
I was gonna say sorry.
You keep enforcing these habits and these personas and these characters into your soul. Mm-hmm. So now, if you're going around and doing good things for people, you start building onto your soul that you're a good person. So then, when you approach these new situations, you're approaching it from I am a good person. I do the good thing. Right. But if you're only doing the good thing. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to get a benefit from art. You're not actually getting that. You're not feeding
So
your
what do you
soul.
think it is? You think like if you're normally and doing the good thing the way you're supposed to be doing the good thing, you get a 10. Boom. 10 out of 10, you get a good thing. So what if you do it because... I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to... But I'm going to go back. It's a but sentence. And you know what? Fuck you. Yeah, I used it. Father John Karapi would say like... A lot of people go to God because of fear of death.
Yes.
To bring it full circle. and
the circle of life.
And he would say it as, you know what? Fear's not the, the only reason to go or the right reason to go to God. You should go because you want to. And because that's what you know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. You understand. Mm-hmm. But it's not a bad place to start.
No, it's not, especially because it is a guideline.
So maybe...
But again, you need to be doing it for the right reasons.
But maybe it's just like building a habit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's part of who you are and what you do. And, what you do is really who you are.
Yeah, you are your habits.
You are your habits, you are where you eat and these things, so on and so forth. So sometimes you might be thinking of, hey, you know what? I got to do a good deed of the day. I gotta do it. So you're looking for the opportunity. Boom, I could do it right here. Boom. Okay. And you could do it. And in your perspective, you could see it as, not your perspective, but what you were talking about. They might be doing it just to do it and now they feel better about themselves. They're being watched. What do you mean they're being watched?
They're so you could those two people can go and be like, I'm gonna do a good deed every day. I'm just gonna go out wherever I see a good deed. I'm gonna do it. They're both doing the same exact thing, same exact outcome. One, however, is being watched. God is watching him. And he feels that God is watching him. And if I don't do
You're saying with God and without God?
No, I'm not saying it on that. Okay. It's just how you view what's happening after death and what's going to bring you where and what direction and so on. So one of them is being watched by God. So if they fuck up, they're going to be punished. So they're not going to fuck up because they don't want to be punished. And they're going to do the good thing because they're going to get rewarded. They're going to get to go to heaven. And that's why they're doing it. The only reason I'm doing it. Now, the other person, again, whether they believe in God or not, it's irrelevant. They're doing good because they want to do good for people.
Yep.
And God comes into play in that, because when you do good for people, you do good for the entirety, which is good for God.
You know what I mean? Good for humanity, good for God, all around.
But now, the driving force is different. You're not making it about yourself. It's about other people. So then you train your brain and you train your soul to
do those things.
To do those things without even having to think about it, because now these are the things that you do. When somebody drops their shit while I'm walking on the sidewalk, I don't have to go, ooh, I'm gonna get a fucking star for this one. No. You just, this person needs help. I'm gonna help them.
Yep.
That's the difference. That's my point.
Yeah, I'm fully with you with that. I feel like that can mature though.
It could change, and again, it's a good start.
It's a good start. Exactly, it's a good start.
But
it's a wrong reason to do it
for the soul. I don't think acting greedy is good
for the soul,
especially when we operate the way we should operate is as a community, and that's a big problem with Americans. Yeah. We're about our success and our fame and our money.
Me.
Yeah, I have to outbeat you. You got this great on
Hey man, but the world is a scary place. The world is a very you don't know who your neighbor is. You don't know what type of person you don't know what that person is dealing with every day. You don't know what type of wife he has, if he has a wife. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if his kid has cancer. You don't know if he's mentally going through something. You know what I'm saying? And then you're naturally, as a man, when it comes break it down to nature, you're gonna start thinking about survival. You marry somebody, you have kids with them. You have your own tribe. This is your own legacy that you're trying to protect that forever. And now it's not only your survival, it's our survival, and I have to protect them. And this is what I live for.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be a lot better in a tribe where it's like everybody thought that way, but. You don't know who people are, man. People are.
But that's the issue that I'm pointing out at, is that we don't know each other and we don't act like a community. Mm-hmm. It's because our communities are too big. You can't keep up with all these people.
We can't keep up with it. Think about our family.
You don't. Yeah, so we have an insane amount of people.
We used to party all the time. Our family parties, ridiculous, bro. They would take up a house, upstairs, downstairs. Days in a row. One house here, one house there. I'm throwing the party this year. You're not throwing the party. Days of partying. Our lives as children lit. I don't care about what the younger generation of our cousins think. We had the best, bro. Because we came in a time where they were still having a lot of parties all the time because it wasn't that many people. But then as we grew up, the whole family grew up and continued to expand. And they've gotten to a point where the family grew too much that they weren't having that many family parties anymore. Because we can't fit all of them in one house.
Too much.
So we got like the last end of it. We got like the perfect time.
That's why empires never last forever. Because they get too big. They spread out too far. And there's not enough glue to hold everything together. So it just... And that's my point. So now we live in these big freaking communities. You can't know everybody. You can't meet everybody. You can't know everybody on a personal level. You can't trust everybody. And when there's no trust, then how do you fucking walk around feeling safe?
Yep.
Everybody's a potential enemy and everybody's a potential threat. And now you're more alone. Because now it's just you and your family, which is good. Like you have that little group of people that you're looking out after, and they're looking out after you, and it's very important. But it's not enough because you're not around all the time. And then, like, like you have, or you die. You know what I mean? Now it's your wife and the kids, and it's just them. Who's now the father figure? Who's
the father? Who's teaching your kids how to be? Who's teaching your son how to be a man?
Mm-hmm. Where other people will fall into place and help out that end. And like I was also thinking recently, like you know, when we get married with your wives and so on, and then we want to go out, we want to go hang out at the bar, we have to think about, hey, we have to go home early because our wife is sitting alone at a house.
Right.
Instead of hanging out with her friends in this big community. No, she's and nobody should be alone for extended periods of time. So she's right to be mad at you for not showing up. But like, how can you be? You know what I mean? Like, it's just there's got to be a better way of people coming together, much easier without. I don't know. Maybe it's just people on their own creating better relationships and making the effort to spend time with these people.
I think all of that has to come from, this is going to sound so cliche, love. So it's kind of hard for somebody who didn't have a lot of love in their life to put that out in the world. Mm-hmm. Like, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of people are, the people that go ahead and inflict a lot of damage on other people are the ones that had a lot of damage inflicted on them. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you're just putting out into the world what you are.
Yeah.
And
you're giving that energy, now you're
pushing that.
on.
Yeah, you're just pushing that thing on, and that's why it's so important. Ultimately, at the end of the day, for us to do the right thing, for us to go ahead and have morals and do these things for humanity to push it forward. You know what I'm saying?
Because you want that energy to
keep and you never know, man. You never know. You never know, like, what type of day someone's having. Our words and our actions to us are very disposable, and they shouldn't be, because they're, the way I look at it, I don't live by it, but I could go ahead and look at it in a certain way, in a artistic perspective, and be like, everybody's life is a if you could look at somebody's life in a 2D perspective and look at it as a timeline, and every move they made, every word they used, and as time went on and we advanced, and every second, every millisecond, so on and so forth, it's all design, and it's a movement, it's a movie, and there's an end to it. And you could have just been frustrated with your dog. Your dog took a shit on your brand new sneakers. You know what I'm saying? And you went to the corner store and you bumped somebody, or somebody bumped you, and you had a shitty day, and that person was pissed off. Yeah, exactly. And that person was pissed off already, went to the next store, had a terrible interaction, and then got into a fight.
Yeah, and it just starts building up.
Yeah, it starts building. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't realize the responsibility that you have and the effect that you can have. It's more about the opportunity that you have and what you want to do with it. You know, there's plenty of times where I deal with customers, or you deal with customers, and we can approach them in a positive way, and that could go ahead and make their day. You know what I'm saying? I'm so happy I met you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for making my day, whatever, you know?
Yeah, and that's where, like, mindfulness and, like, meditation come into it, because you can be pissed about your dog shitting on your shoes, or you can just, you know what I mean? Like, realize that that's why you're mad. So when somebody comes and bumps into you, oh, I'm not mad about this. I'm mad about what happened earlier.
Yeah.
And people don't pay attention to the way they're feeling, the way they're thinking. And people shut out their emotions for weird reasons, and also they're not paying attention because they're thinking about fucking traffic, and they're thinking about work, and they're thinking about this fight and that thing. And when things go bad, instead of paying attention inwards, what's going on, they just react. It's time to fucking react. Let me just burst out. Like, so in one way they're blocking out their emotions, but in another way they're blowing them out. Right. Now they just want to yell at people, or fight, or cry, or whatever. Just have a fucking temper tantrum, because that's gonna that's gonna release the feeling that they want. That it's a pleasure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Your boss yells at you, and you can't yell at your boss, so you yell at your wife.
Exactly. You're trying to transfer that energy.
Yeah, because you need to get that shit out, but you're getting it out wrong because you're a reactive being instead of being like, you know, a thinker. Because that's just you just paid attention to your thoughts and just
assess the situation. Process. What is happening right now?
Yes. Where am I? Who am I?
One of the things that I feel that I've heard and I feel that is very valuable is, as an employee or as a worker, anybody, as a partner, is somebody who can be in control of their emotions. So, for example, if I go into work tomorrow and my boss is having a terrible day and he go ahead and yells at me because I messed up. I did something wrong. And I get yelled at. If I can take that in and swallow it and be like, you know what? Take ownership. Boom. I messed that up. That's my issue. Boom. And move on from it and not have to transfer that energy somewhere else. That's a very big thing. That's very important.
Squash it. Just kill it right there.
Yeah.
That's not
going. Boom. I took the punch. It is what it is. It was my mess up anyways. Or even if it isn't your mess up, you know, sometimes I might be having a bad day and I'll go ahead and I'll say something to you that'll piss you off, or vice versa. And it's like, you could have just controlled that and assessed the situation and be like, you know what, that upset me, but I'm not going to let that affect me and move forward.
Yeah, it's only going to be as big as you let it be. If you dwell on something, if you regret doing something, but you keep thinking about it, like you can just forget about it and then it's like, whatever, there's nothing I can do about it. You can go that approach. Hey, I can't do anything about it, but you know, I can learn from it. So next time I won't do that, but there's nothing I can do about this scenario. Or you can go the other direction where it's like you just fucking think about it and you just beat yourself up over it. Like, that shit eats you alive. Now, somebody pisses you off, you know, someone said something stupid, someone insulted you in a certain way, like, you can, you know, be like, fuck it, that person's wrong. They don't know anything. I'm not dealing with that thought anymore. Or you can sit there and think about it and you just made them that much more powerful. What they just said is now like living in you.
And you're letting them control you.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that's what it is.
You're acting. The way you're acting is now dependent on that emotion that they created for you.
That's deep. That's tough, because that's like. But then, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to be, a robot? I remember my ex-girlfriend used to tell me this. Certain things would happen. I'll be like, all right, like it happened. Like, move on. Like, that's it. Like. What do you want me to, or if I messed up and I'll be like, I'm sorry. And then they're still frustrated. And I'll be like, I don't understand how, like, I already said sorry X amount, and I know sorry, it's not about the sorry.
Yeah.
And I do feel bad. And I understand that you feel bad. And I understand that the words sorry aren't feeling anything, but like, you can't continue to be mad at me because it's not like, I can't do anything to change your emotion.
Yeah, but they're not looking at it away. They don't want you to solve the problem.
But then what do you want me to do? You want me to feel very remorseful? I understand.
And
I am upset because I'm upset that your feelings are upset.
But no matter how
at some point, we got to move on from this.
Yes, 100%.
So now I could go ahead and control my emotions in that perspective, but it's almost robotic. And I've gotten words for that of like, or just people being frustrated with me because I didn't empathize with them like that. And because I value that. I value controlling your emotions. I value that I don't let you control me as much as most other people will. You will. You're going to have an effect on me no matter what. You're going to have some type of effect on me if you're close to me. If I let you, even if it's a small percentage, 20%, 30%, it's going to have an effect. But I'd rather it be 20, 30% than it be 90%, 99%, 80%, you know?
But you definitely got to make sure that there's a balance.
Yeah, there has to be a balance.
You need to have, you have to show some of your emotions.
You got to show some of that stuff. It's hard finding a balance.
But that's what everything.
Yeah.
Like, you go 100%, you go 0%, you're fucking up somewhere. somewhere in the middle, you'll find a nice little rhythm where you're using it when you need them, because you need it, especially if you're trying to interact with family and opposite sex. Like, emotion is very important, and creating too. But like, now, if you have too much, you're a problem. You're dangerous, because you're sporadic. You're not stable. Mm-hmm. But if you have none, then you're just disconnected. You're not human anymore. How do you interact with people at that point?
It's very, very interesting, man. It's weird. It's freakishly weird being able to be detached from things and because I could go ahead and have that perspective and be like, we're gonna die anyways. It doesn't matter. Let me be detached from all these things.
You could be too detached, though.
But you could be too detached.
You could be too detached. And then now life doesn't matter. So, you know what?
Life doesn't matter.
I'm this person standing in my way, and I can solve the problem by killing them.
Yeah, that's a scary spiral to go down.
Yeah, nihilism is not.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, kids, you don't want to try this at home.
But you
gotta find, as you said,
attached, though. Yeah. You could be too attached.
You gotta find the balance, and then you could be. There's the extreme.
You scare people away.
Yep.
It's
you could love too much.
Yeah. People don't want that. Nobody wants to be loved too much.
Yep.
Because love is like a form of like insanity.
It is.
Yeah. It's just like you're crazy for somebody. Whether it doesn't matter which type of love relationship. It's like if you're too much, people can't take it. It's overwhelming. So you gotta find that balance. It's the yin and yang, man.
Yep.
It's just that same the Tao. That same theme pops up in so many different cases, and that's for me, what I believe is a huge fundamental problem with the way people think. Everything's black and white. You can't think past that.
I think everything's gray.
Everything's great.
Everything's great. Everything's just different shades of it. How light you want to go, how dark you want to go. Mm. And then there's white, but you're never going to be white. But it's good that white exists because now we have a bar. It's good that black exists because now we have a bar. We have a level of the extreme.
Yeah. Like, perfection is a great thing to strive for. You want to strive for perfection, knowing you will never reach it.
You're never going to be perfect.
You're never going to be
but
all
perfect
good.
Exists.
Yeah.
The idea of perfect is that it's the full white or the full black.
Exactly. Yes. You. And there are certain things that are binary. It's either one or the other, but most things are not. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing that more and more. Rarely ever. And most of the times, if it is binary, it's both. It's not just this all the time or this and this. No, it's like, it's kind of a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that. And again, it's just back to it being in the gray area. And that's.
And I feel like that's another thing that needs to be more accepted in culture and in just a message that's spread across the world is the fact that there's a whole gray area spectrum that people aren't looking at. It's not all black and white, people. It's
missing out on a lot of.
You know what? It's very good, and we're very fortunate to have the black and white. And thankfully, our society has those things. There's luckily for us, there is a God, there is a devil. These are the ultimate extremes of these things. There is a heaven, there is a hell. So it helps you balance out who you are as a person, and it's up to you to figure out that balance. But like, we need those things there, because without those, what would you be looking at? Yeah, a very light version of gray.
Yeah, exactly. Which you're in. You're in the gray.
Yeah, you are. The best human, the closest person to God would be that version of gray. Because you're not God. You're that. But thankfully, that perfect black exists. That. That
absolute absence of light.
That absolute. Yeah. There is an absolute. So we're lucky to have that. Imagine living. You know how depressing that would be to be in a world where
everything's gray.
Everything is gray.
There's no bad, awesome, but guess what? There's no good, because you can't have.
There's no Superman. No world of Superman.
Yeah. There's no villains.
There's no villains.
You need villains for there to be.
There's villains. There's bad people, but it's not like.
My point is, there's no Superman without villains.
Oh, that's true. There's not. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They play a part.
Everything's good.
There's no villains. There's no Superman. There's no villains.
And I think that's like this weird thing that we do for 75 years, where we walk around and we live on this planet. Like, that's why I feel like there's suffering, why there's that death at the end, and why there's all these problems and these speed bumps and all the shitty things that happen to us, is because it wouldn't make sense for it to be any other way. Because it would be boring. What travesties would you be like overcoming? How are you growing? You won't have any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then that's like what happy people are doing is getting over these problems and figuring a way out of taking all this dark, shitty things that we deal with and, making the best out of them.
Because they're not letting these things control their happiness. They're happy within themselves, and they're learning how to deal with these situations.
And that's it. And I actually want to end it on that.
Yeah.
I want to end it on the fact that if, you go and you live your life where you're having fun with the process, and you're also treating the bad, shitty things, the suffering, as these tests and these ways to make the bright things in your life.
These are the
even
weights
brighter.
at the gym.
Yeah. That's you have to go through the effort to get the reward, and I think that's where nice big message to leave everybody, because we started off with death and now we can end it on
happiness,
bringing out more light,
controlling your emotions more, and being more aware of the power you have, controlling what you can control. Don't let these people ruin your happiness. Don't let these people poop on your parade. It could be raining outside. You could still choose to have a great day. And you could choose to go out there and be in the rain, having a terrible time, or you could choose to be out there in the rain, having a good time.
And you know why?
Because you're still going to be in the rain. You're still going to be in the rain, baby. It's getting wet. You just want to be content with the wetness, or you want to be mad about the wetness.
But do you know why?
Do I know why what?
Why you have to enjoy the rain in the meanwhile?
Because if there wasn't rain, we wouldn't have these,
Oh, what I was gonna go with it is.
You tell me.
Because you're gonna die in the end, and it's over. You know what I mean?
That's
to deal
true,
with the shitty parts. But thank you so much, man.
Pleasure,
it was
man.
a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Catch us next time. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast.
Peace.